Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Today I'm joined with Amy Scruggs, who is a TV host, recording artist, and coach. Amy, thanks for joining me today.
I've been really looking forward to this. Thank you so much.
As have I. There's some guests that I absolutely put a red circle around when I get them scheduled, and this was one of them. And I think listeners will find out why. But before we get into our conversation, just tell my listeners a little bit about who is Amy Scruggs.
Oh, no pressure, no pressure. Now I got to bring in my A game, which I would have done already, but thank you, Dan. In a nutshell, it sounds like a lot, but yes, I have been a TV host for the last 5 years for a national show called The American Dream. And it was also featured on CNBC and different networks around the country, as well as producing and hosting Retiring Right Show, Operation American Dream. But to get there, and how that happened was a whole series of shifts that started my career back in 2000 in the wholesale banking world. So I was actually out pounding the pavement, asking for the business in wholesale banking in the mortgage peak with the subprime mortgages. And I was out there competing with the biggest in Southern California. And it was an opportunity that came about at a time I had mouths to feed. I had young children. I was late in starting my career at almost 30 years old. And I had an incredible woman, Liz Montez, still my friend and mentor to this day, who said, I'm going to take a chance on you, and gave me that first job in wholesale mortgage. She said, you're tenacious. I'm going to take a chance on you. And she taught me with a flip phone and a wired speaker in my ear. She'd be on the phone with me as I went into accounts and learned how to read our own rate sheets and learned the industry and how to basically underwrite in the field, looking at these loan documents for the brokers representing the bank. And that was a scary time, but I was so thankful for someone to give me opportunity, that I wanted to succeed for her even more than myself. I was like, this, I need to thank her for taking a chance on me, because everything in my career leading up to the things we'll discuss today was because of that shifting moment. And 6 months after that day that she gave me that job, I was number one rep in the company. And I learned real quick that by putting my mind to something, that there could be that success. And I also learned very quickly that it was effective communication, being comfortable presenting in front of others, that set me apart from my competitors, because there was a lot of competition at that time. Southern California was the hub of the mortgage industry for the entire nation. And I was in the thick of it, in front of some of the biggest brokers. And being able to go into a boardroom and present, to not be afraid, to ask for the business, it really did set me apart. And I knew that those are going to be valuable skills no matter where life took me. And fast forward quickly, we know what happened in 2007 and 8. The mortgage and real estate industry collapsed. Big shift, big recession. And everything that I had worked for in my entire career and what was supporting myself and the children was gone. I had gone back and forth to Nashville during that time. I was always singing, always in cover bands, singing since the age of 3, playing piano since I was 3, always performing, started recording in Nashville, and was able to do both back and forth. But '07 literally just brought everything to a halt. And it was also the same time I just had a major surgery and hysterectomy for complications that I had from having the children. And so there was a lot going on at that time, that again, it was time to shift. Do I collapse? Do I fall apart? Or do I put it back together? And I took the business skills, I took that same tenacity, I took the drive, and said, why not go ask for this for my music career? If not now, then when? Right? If not now, then when? And so I put, again, I didn't have social media then to do this with. This was still flip phone, driving, turning in my marketing packages, and asking for the business. And 6 months from that date, I was booked to open on a national stage for Clint Black on the 4th of July in Camp Verde, Arizona. And I knew that that was going to be a moment that I could leverage from, that I could shift, that I could go ask for more business. And I spent the next years touring as a recording artist, opening for some of the biggest names in country music. My oldest son, my lead guitar player, joining me in that band by the time he was 17, leading the band. I brought in and out some incredible musicians. The kids were with me through all of this journey. And 3 years of that, I spent as the spokesperson for the American veterans for the state of California. And it again came down to that, learning to communicate, learning to represent, running my business as a business. I learned that in Nashville in '04, when my A&R rep there said, Amy, the successful artists run it as a business. It wasn't a hobby for me, it was a business. And then in 2011, decided to combine both of those businesses. I had some setbacks, some tragedies. Our bass player died. We went through some huge setbacks, and I decided it was time to re-enter the mortgage industry that was starting to come back. And I combined both of those careers And that was 11 years ago. And it was terrifying going, okay, I got to start over again. I was in opening for Trace Adkins on a Thursday for a sold out crowd in Northern California. And on a Monday, I was in a cubicle in San Diego, starting over with that part of my career. And I knew that I was going to have to put that same passion. 5 years later, through connections I made, relationships I made, I was asked to host a national TV show. And then 2020, we know a recession or the pandemic hit. So here we go. Here's another opportunity to shift, right? I'm like, oh, I've lived this chapter. I know how to retool. And I used that time to say, all right, I have ADHD. There's no way I'm going to sit still. And I put the book together. I wrote Lights, Camera, Action, Media Coaching for Professionals to inspire other professionals to be comfortable in front of the camera. I watched the entire world go virtual and I'm like, this is what I do. I excel at this. I can help professionals get comfortable on camera and on their Zoom meetings and everything that's happening now. And at the same time, after 18 years, Nashville called back and said, guess what? We've found you the best producer. Are you ready to record your dream project? So during that time of shifting, I was able to write the book, record the dream project. And here we are today to have a great discussion and talk about where all that's at. But the song, What If It All Goes Right, has been charting on Music Row for the last 8 weeks. I released it in January. And I see these tremendous moments of shifting that have led to the story that I get to tell now. And man, I wouldn't change a thing. And here we are.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if that was lengthy, but I had to get to that finish line.
No, that's great. And the song, What If It All Goes Right? I urge my listeners when you're done listening to this interview, get on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to your music and pull this song up because it is incredible message behind the song. Again, the first time I ever heard it, literally got goosebumps.
Oh,
Called
so did I.
called my wife into the room. I'm like, you got to listen to this song, and just absolutely incredible song with a powerful message. And again, as an independent artist, you've just toppled 100,000 views on YouTube for the song, which is incredible. So
How fun is
congratulations on that. You're like I said, you're 74 on the charts right now, without a label. Again, independent artist. I think I'll ask you a little bit about just that whole dynamic as well that you kind of talk through. I don't know
It'll
that
give you gray hair, I tell you that much.
yeah, I don't know that the average listener really understands like what that is to as an independent artist to get to there. So um before we started recording, we were talking a little bit. So you did not write the song. Um
No.
but like I guess go through the process a little bit about how people are pitching songs to you for
Mhm.
the EP, and then kind of like when you heard this song, the demo, like how you knew like this is one I want to put my stamp on.
Thank you. It's finding the right song is a scary process because I can love a song, but that doesn't mean that it's going to transcend to radio or to massive listeners. You know, we know when it's just got that, that's a hit. And of course, the hits are going to the major artists. There's no question. I'm not a songwriter. I can. Would it be mediocre? Most likely. I know where my strengths are. I'm great at script writing. I'm great at coaching. I'm great at speaking. I can perform a song. You put something in front of me, I got it, but not writing. And so I was really grateful that my A&R rep, James Ray, the one that discovered me back in 2004 and had never given up on me, when he's the one that put together the opportunity to work with Fred Mullen. And this is where the pandemic really helped me, because here was an opportunity where producers and musicians in the music industry, they were not touring. They didn't have a lot of projects. Everything was on lockdown. So finding availability for these fantastic professionals to work with me, they were like, okay, all right, we all agreed to be vaccinated or whatever we need to do to come together in this studio time. Let's put this together. We were able to use virtual meetings and Zoom meetings to be meeting with publishers in Nashville that were pitching music. We would sit in hour-long sessions where they were pitching a verse and a chorus and saying, how about this one? How about this one? And my producer's in there and my A&R rep. And it was, you know, they're pitching them to me. And you don't want to hurt their feelings either. If you're like, oh, no, that one's not it. That's that. And you just go, oh, that one's lovely, but not my style. Thank you. You know, you have to be correct. You don't want to insult them. You want them to bring them you your best, even though I know they're probably pitching them to Faith Hill. That's okay. So we went through this process, and my James would get the emails and start deciphering through the ones that were sent to him. So he went through about 1,000, sent me probably 400 or 500 of those. We were pitched some in these live meetings as well, and we knew we needed 5 songs for this EP project. It was a 9-month process of meetings, of listening, and I'm trying to run my business and everything at the same time. And they would email and go, Amy, have you listened to those 10 songs we just sent? I'm like, okay, I'm getting to that. And they start sounding the same. You start going, okay, that one sounds just like the other one. And keep in mind, when you're pitched a demo, they're recorded very flat on purpose. You're not getting a big Hollywood production out of this. I'm not hearing, Beyonce singing to me and going, yeah, I could do that too. They're produced in a certain way that you can visualize your own artistry on it. And so a lot of the songs that I actually used for the EP, 4 of the songs for the EP were actually a male demo. They were a male song produced to be pitched to a male artist. And I went, no, I can make that me. And I knew it was going to need a key change and different dynamics and everything else, but it was fun to visualize my voice on those projects. And so we really didn't even pick the final song for the EP till the day we landed in Nashville to go into studio. But What If It All Goes Right? That one was actually in an email where I had to open it up and listen to 20 songs. The title intrigued me because what a better message than the life I've just led, especially in the times of loss and everything else. Well, what are you going to do? Well, but what if it goes right? Well, what if it falls apart? What if you can't make it? What if you don't do that? Well, what if it does? I am so much more afraid of regret than I am of failure.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always driven me. Well, why not try? At least I can check that box if it didn't work. I know how to navigate. So What If It All Goes Right? The lyrics in that really resonated with me. And I hands down put that on the list and said, this one has to be on there. And when we went into studio on the first take with these incredible musicians, and when I say incredible musicians, I mean, oh my God, these were the best guys in Nashville and in the music industry. What a privilege this was. Fred Mullen is one of the most incredible producers. It was a dream. Like you had to pinch me and wake me up that I was standing there working with professionals of this caliber. And we finished that first take of What If It All Goes Right, just laying down their tracking. And I'm just singing along with them to guide, find our groove for it. And Fred took his earphones off and he said, oh my God, everybody, that's a hit. Now, mind you, Fred was the vice president of all music for Disney for years. So a lot of our favorite Disney soundtracks was Fred's music. A lot of TV and film scores was Fred's music. He has produced Billy Joel and Linda Ronstadt. I mean, I can name the artists. So for him to sit there in the studio and say that, I'm like, I think we have something here. I think the message is powerful. And I just was privileged to be the vessel on this project.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I think it's one of those songs where it does kind of take on a life of its own, but I think, obviously as an artist, you know, you you want things to be a hit, you want it to be successful, but at the end of the day, I'm guessing, it was really just more about the song, and
Yes.
whatever happens beyond it happens beyond. You have no control. You're gonna,
I had no idea how I was going to release this and how it was going to reach radio or reach the masses. I just knew that if this song makes a difference in one life, it was worth recording because it's a message of hope. It really is. It can transform how we visualize even the smallest things in our day to day.
Yeah,
And so I knew it was going to be a message of hope. And if I don't put outcome expectations on my projects or what I do, it's so joyous when something positive comes out. It's like, oh, well, that just got picked up by another radio station. Well, this is working because they didn't have outcome attached to it. So everything is a joy.
yeah, yeah, and that's the same way I approach just what I do as far as the podcast and my blogs and all that sort of stuff and the books. It's really, if at some point I make the bestseller New York Times bestseller list, that's great. But as long as the message is resonating with someone, as long as someone that listens to this podcast message resonates with it, then we've accomplished what I'm looking to accomplish, and anything beyond that is just icing on the cake. So
completely, very well said.
Yeah. So explain a little bit to my listeners again. The average music fan doesn't understand the behind the scenes music business. So just as being an independent artist, I mean, to get this song where it is today, I mean, how rare is that? I mean, just
It would
try
be
to
like
walk them through it.
yeah, it would be like me walking down to Padre Stadium and saying, "Hey, can I pitch today?" That's it really is something, and I'm so grateful that I've had the right people um beside me on this, that doors are opening that I didn't even see coming, to say, hey, we recommend you work with Amy. Airplay Direct is an incredible platform that's out there for independent artists that actually helps get your music out on radio worldwide. And so right away I knew whatever platforms that I can self-navigate and self-direct, but I also, again, need to run it as a business. I can't just stick something up there halfway, have it look kind of hokey, not all the full information, and expect people are going to play it. I got to be able to do a professional quality profile, run it as a business, that represents me. Putting that together, now reaching out and saying, I want to take any webinars and tutorials that you have on this platform so that I can use it to its fullest. Then as radio stations start picking it up, guess what I do? I reach out. Thank you so much. Can I provide a station ID? Is there anything I can do to support your station? Thank you so much for starting this relationship and playing my music. I am reaching stations worldwide. It's been incredible. Saying, okay, maybe I need to put a little ad spin into this, utilizing the tools and what is in front of me, because I don't have the major record label behind me doing that for me. They've got those relationships. I had to find those relationships myself, self-navigate with the tools that are available today, which is completely different than what I was able to do when I was touring 10, 12 years ago. And I had the song Coming Home. It was the theme song, The American Veterans, but I had to drive radio station to radio station, wherever we were. They would play it. We do an interview. I was literally out on the road doing this. I didn't have these tools to utilize YouTube. So utilizing these tools is great, but it is still grueling, and it's still okay, but how is it really going to get there? So my responsibility is to maximize that visibility the best I can, and aligning with the right professionals and asking the right questions, because I don't pretend to know. I'd be like, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me navigate? Knowing that using video is going to be a powerful way to hear the song is one thing, but to see the video is another. And with my background in media, I'm like, I can do this. I can produce a music video. I've got resources. I've got people I can call from. I've got a videographer. I know I have great editors. Why don't we put this together and see what happens? And so really having that ability to do that helped me sit there in this lineup, and then finding the right radio promoter that said, okay, we believe in this song. I think that the song spoke for itself. The production was right, and there was a lot of magic involved with this, but there's a lot of hard work making sure the licensing is correct, the embedded codes, finding the right distributor to handle digital distribution. It's been an incredible learning curve. It is not for the faint of heart, but boy, I am more proud as the record label owner and as the producer of the music video than I am being the artist who is the one singing this song. I'm more proud of the business side of it for the success that it's had.
Yeah, and it's incredible. Again, that the video is very powerful as well. And I can't stress enough. I mean, the message behind the song is just so incredibly powerful. And again, for, someone who a couple years ago, had a life shift and, opened a new chapter and decided to, sell all of their stuff and hop in an RV and travel across the country. The song hits home quite a bit, because
what if it goes right?
Yeah, exactly. And it has been going right. It's the best decision we've ever made.
Imagine if you let fear take over and you didn't do it because of what if it doesn't work? What if we break down? What if this wasn't the right thing? Well, then we go back.
Yep.
I can always go backwards to where I was. That's easy.
Absolutely.
That pursuit to go forward with a what if, but what if this works can change the narrative.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that, again, hearing in the beginning just a little bit of your story and how, you'd get a setback and you'd restart and you'd move forward, you get a setback. I mean, is that why the song resonated so much?
Yes.
Even though you didn't write it, I mean, you could have written it.
Right. I knew that one was meant for me. And I love taking a song, and I hope that people think, wow, did she write that? Because I hope I deliver it with the same passion and the same respect and delivery as if I did write it. I owe that to the writers who gave me the privilege. Tanya Hantroff is amazing. And she had the woman who wrote that actually came in and did the background vocals on that as well. So that's her voice singing with me. And to be able to hug her and thank her for this song and to have her be a part of this, oh my goodness, I'm just so grateful. That is my job, to give it all the respect that it deserved.
Yeah, that's cool. And you actually answered my next question, as I was going to ask you if you had met the songwriter yet. So you just answered my next question. That's very cool to include her in backing vocals. I don't know that a lot of artists would necessarily do that. So that's, that's
It
very
was,
cool.
she had already worked with my producer on many other projects, and it was actually a small world that I chose that song that happened to be from someone he already worked with, so he brought her in. So it was just a really really neat, I don't call it coincidence, but it was meant to be. And what a beautiful opportunity to meet her and thank her. And I hope I'm making her proud with what this song is doing and what it's already done this year.
Yeah, I can't imagine you wouldn't be. I mean, she's got to be pretty excited about where it's going. I'm sure. Um, there's another song on the EP that is just as powerful, in my opinion, as What If It All Goes Right, and that's Fly. Tell me a little bit about, again, when you knew that was your song, when you knew you wanted to put the stamp on it.
We found that one on one of the Zoom meetings. So the producer, James, our A&R, Fred and James and I were on this meeting with a group of publishers pitching us different music. And we heard the verse and the chorus, and it was a male demo. That was a male singing. And I went, the lyrics and the melody was enough. I went, that's it. Because I have 4 children, 4 grown kids now. My youngest was going to be graduating from high school this year. So mind you, when they're song pitching, she was a junior in high school. I knew next year she's graduating. If there is ever a song that's my heart to my kids, kind of like Leon Womack got to do the song I Hope You Dance, and Rascal Flatts had My Wish. I felt like this one's my wish. So I knew that this song, and I knew, nobody may even hear it. I'm recording this for them. This is my heart to my kids. After everything we've been through together, after how we've endured, we've lost our home, we have had tremendous setbacks, we've had deaths. I mean, everybody has their story in our journey. I know I'm no different than stories of all the great guests that come on and they share their journey as well, but this was my journey, and this song was really a great way to honor my children throughout the journey that we've had, and their friends. I've grown very attached to watching her friends as some of them have, really gone above and beyond to make sure that they have graduated with honors, and with, one of them, finding 6 different buses to get to school every day. And so I just really said, these kids deserve this song. And I chose it. And that one was the first one I recorded in studio. It was funny. Fred started with that one on day 1, and I couldn't stop crying. It was hitting me so hard. And he's like, do you have a cold? Is something wrong? Are we going to record this now? I'm like, okay, I'm good now. Sorry. There's a lot going on. I just, I've waited 18 years to be in a studio of this caliber. And you start with that song. I mean, come on, you got to be fair here. Couldn't we have started with something, the alphabet song to warm me up? So it was really emotional. And it was emotional recording that one. And I knew that one needed a music video as well. I went, this one needs to showcase, especially coming off of COVID. This was the first graduating class here, especially in our area, that even got a graduation. The 2021 and 2020, those kids did not get a graduation. So here we're facing the senior class that got to go back to school for the entire year, what they endured being on remote learning, and the hardships and the depression and the things that they had to go through for those 2 years that they were on lockdown. And what a great way for me to celebrate their achievements, still coming out with honors, still coming out with college acceptances, still ready to face the world with positivity after what they had endured at that age. I don't know if I could have gone through it, and I watched them go through it. So really wanted to honor them with a song and with a video. And so I actually reached out to my social media sphere and put on ads that said, anyone who would like to honor a graduate for the class of 2022, whether college, high school, anywhere in the country, send in your photos and I will add those to this video. And that's what we did. And that was a really neat, I had incredible graduates featured in this video. Some I don't know who they are, but what a neat way to honor them.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool for sure. Very cool. So, I guess, hearing everything you do, and then also, raising 4 kids, um, how do you do it? Like, it's, how do you do it? How do you keep it, all the hats, knowing which one to wear at which time?
I have a very supportive husband, very supportive children, thank goodness, who accept me in all my crazy and accept me in what I juggle and manage. So that without a solid foundation, I would crumble. Also, I'm really good at time management. I'm very, very detail oriented. I'm very organized. I've got notebooks everywhere, spreadsheets on my spreadsheets. And so in real time, I have a philosophy of do it now. So I don't see it as, oh my gosh, I have this, all these different things. I'm like, no, this is day. This is just Tuesday. This is what is on my plate Tuesday. And if I check off that box every day, I have a running list. I stay on top of things. Again, effective communication, keeping my phone calls short. I don't allow things to ramble on. Okay. What can I do for you? How can I help? Very good with my calendar and my schedule. And then I enjoy what I do. I love the professionals that I get to work with in media coaching. I love being on and podcasting and being on such a great platform like this with you. I was really looking forward to this. And I love the opportunity to share and inspire. And I also love my downtime. And so I think being able to combine all those and look at the week and go, how much of each is in there? Well, that's a success. And leaving space open for new opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just hit on next thing I wanted to ask you. Because when I originally first reached out to you to have you on the show, it took a little bit of time for you to get back to me. And when you did, you apologized. It's, hey, sorry, I was off grid. But love to be on the show. I'll schedule a time. And I responded, well, it's good to be off grid at times. So
That was the
you
first
spoke,
time in a long time.
you spoke about your downtime. So just, again, as busy as you are, you just pointed out how important downtime is. And I think for anyone out there that's juggling multiple projects, multiple things, sometimes that gets lost. So can you just, talk a little bit more about how important it is to have that downtime to just get away from it all for a little bit,
Right.
even
It's so
though
important.
you're juggling it?
Yeah, it's so important because if I crumble, there's no more business left. There's no more music. That's it. My husband goes, if something happens to you, I'm just pushing the off button on your computer and it's done. I wouldn't even know how to step into your desk. So I get that. And sometimes downtime means 30 minutes. Sometimes having a 30-minute space in my day where I go, I'm going to go outside and watch the birds for my coffee this morning and not go straight to my computer. And it's very lovely and refreshing, finding that time to pray and to meditate. On this case, when you had tried to reach me, it was because of her graduation. We actually took a trip, and it had been a couple of years since we've been able to do that. So that was 4 months of planning to take a 3-week trip and making sure that everything that I needed to do was done, that I communicated effectively with everybody that I work with and that are involved in every aspect from my music promotion to my media promotion and as well as my coaching. And it felt so satisfying to go, oh my gosh, everything's handled. I can do this. I can really turn it off. And I did. I really did. And I came back then excited about jumping back in. And there's something about that balance. And I know that I can't take 3 weeks off all the time, but those 30 minutes in each day are fabulous. Sometimes it's to pick up and, read a book and do my own learning and studying. Sometimes it's just to breathe. Sometimes I have to walk in circles in the house and just take that deep breath and talk to my plants and then come back and sit down and I'm back in the game. But a constant check-in with myself, because I don't allow that anxiety or those negative thoughts to come in. And anytime I do, I can say, cancel. No, we're going to get back on track. Because if I'm not working in my purpose and my passion, if I'm not inspiring, if I'm not working towards what my highest and best use are, then that's the gauge right there. Then I need to pull back. And it's a constant evaluation because it's different every week.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's so important. And like I said, a lot of times it gets lost. And, I know for me, one of our biggest challenges with podcasting while living in an RV is making sure you're spots where you have good internet, which isn't always the case. So, I've got a very reliable mobile hotspot, but I also kind of have to look ahead a little bit and understand that, okay, we're going to be on the road, doing a volunteer project for 2 weeks, whatever the case is. I need to get out in front and get some interviews recorded so that I'm
Right.
just, they're just coming out and I'm not tied up. I can
Yeah,
focus
you
on the
create your
other stuff I'm
library.
doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I guess that all comes down to time management, really
Mm-hmm.
just understanding what's ahead of you and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
So,
One of my great coaches really taught me this. And he even said, I'm a student of my calendar. And every day I go, I'm a student of my calendar. I look at it, I study it for the entire week on Monday. I know. And I leave space in there also because things run over. Projects sometimes take longer than we think. So there's always an extra space in there of about 6 hours. Sometimes that bleeds into Saturday, Sunday. There's space for filling in anything that didn't quite get completed that needed to. And then I can start it all again. And I'm already into studying my calendar for the month of September. August looks really good and full. I've got those gaps in there. I've got great projects in there. Leave room for new opportunity. Be diligent on the ones that have already been given to me. And it's a constant flow.
yeah, that's cool. So, is there any tour planned for the EP at this point, or is it getting planned? Can we go out and see Amy perform anytime soon?
Not yet. It's interesting. All of those years of touring, town to town, radio to radio, that is hard, hard work. And I did it and loved it. Absolutely loved it. No question. But at this phase, the opportunities that I was able to have digitally and virtually like this has I've been able to leverage and have better results by doing it this way. Yes, I still make in-person appearances. I'm a public speaker a lot. So I will mix up that I will do a performance at the end of a public speaking engagement so that it's really fun. I can combine it that way. So I consider that to be a really great way to combine it. But I haven't planned a tour yet. Doesn't mean there's not going to be one, maybe in 2023, 24. But right now I need to be diligent about getting the music out there, marketing it correctly, maximizing those opportunities that are coming in from it, because it all comes down to then it has to make sense on paper. I have to be able to monetize it.
Right.
And that was the old way of doing it. And I'm really enjoying the new way of doing it. And then we'll balance it out and go from there. Now, if Australia calls, I've been doing well in Australia with the music. If they call and say, hey, we really want you to come out. We've laid out, 10 opportunities for performances. Here's what it looks like. Here's what the fees are and everything else. Of course, I'm going to take a look at that. But that would be a major undertaking.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just so cool, kind of understanding the process. I think everybody, they hear a great song, whether it's from an artist on a label or an independent or whatever, and they really have no idea what took place in the background. I remember seeing a meme one time, showing an iceberg, and the top of the
Yes.
iceberg shows success, but then underneath the iceberg
Nobody
it
sees what's
shows
underneath.
yes. Yeah. So it's I
18
love
years.
the 18-year overnight sensation,
Yes.
right?
18 years of keeping my relationships in Nashville, 18 years of paying my dues out on the road, of losing my jobs, of going through recessions, of going through hardships, 18 years of not giving up. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, if I could encourage anybody, is to not put a time frame on your heart, your dreams, or your projects. Because the minute I say, well, I wish I had all this by 40, or if I don't have this by this age, it's done. I would have never dreamed it. I'm almost 50. And look what's been given back to me tenfold. By not putting the expectations or time limits on anything, it really allows for that abundance and allows for things to unfold. And I'm finally old enough to be taken seriously and young enough to still take action. This is a beautiful time. I'm glad this didn't happen at 30. I was too dumb to know what to do with it.
So you've mentioned several times just about the relationships and how that, came back and paid dividends.
Yes.
But yet I don't know that a lot of times, when you're in that moment of, first meeting someone, not really, knowing, how was it that you were able to kind of go back and leverage some of those, relationships to, over 18 years, that it was still relevant for them to, pick up the phone when you called, so to speak?
Keeping in touch all those years, just genuinely caring about the individuals, not because I wanted something from them or needed something, just genuine relationships of like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of whatever you're doing. Yeah, I'm over here, I'm struggling this month, or I'm doing this. It was never about, well, I'm only keeping this relationship with you because I think you could do something for me someday. It was just, I love you as a human and I'm keeping a relationship with you. I never expected anything. Now, I believe that we can still all use each other as a resource. You might be a resource for me 2 months from now or 2 years from now. I have a client that I work with. He's an amazing wealth advisor out of Georgia. And I hosted him on the TV show 4 years ago. One time he was promoting his book release. And he called me a year and a half ago and said, I don't even know if you remember me. I interviewed with you once, but here's what I'm looking to do. I want to start a new live stream show. I'd love you to help me with this. Would you like to co-host with me? A year and a half later, we've been co-hosting this show and I produce his show and it's fabulous. I would have never known that one interview that it would be an opportunity later to partner with him, but just doing the right thing, doing it for the right reasons, and we can connect and give each other our resources. We can support each other. Those of us with like-mindedness and those of us that are really out there trying to make a difference or work in our business with integrity, we should be helping each other. And keeping open to that is always the best thing to do.
Yeah, and I love that. I love just the fact of being genuine and having integrity, that it comes back and pays dividends. Because
Right.
again, we live in a strange society where there's a lot of promotion of just me, 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 and to see that there really are so many good people out there doing the right things for the right reasons. And that's one thing for my wife and I, Sandy, that being part of this RV community, has been just an absolute blessing for us because we've met so many incredible people. And then, through my podcasting, being able to,
Yes.
meet people,
Isn't it
both,
fantastic?
it's incredible. And,
I've met
to meet,
amazing people podcasting.
yeah, and, for me, I've been able to meet, virtually like this. And then a few months later, we're actually going through their town and we reach out and we get together. And that's
That's
just so, so
fantastic.
cool,
And
to
that's how
actually
it
do that.
works.
Yes.
So many, I
Yes.
think that we have young adults now that maybe have, especially growing up with technology, the younger ones who this is all they've had, haven't learned that art of the relationship with it. When I started in business with just a flip phone, there was no other way to do it. You had to pick up the phone and call somebody and have a relationship. I couldn't send them an
Yeah.
email or a Facebook message or just tag them in a post or hashtag them and think that that was building genuine relationship. And don't get me wrong, these are wonderful tools we have to be able to do that now, but you have to have both.
Yep.
And it's both that can drive those successes that they're actually looking for and
Yeah.
have it be long-term successes, not short-lived hits.
Yep. It goes back to balance,
Yes.
using the technology, but still understanding that we're human beings and we all long for connection at the end of the day,
Yes.
so that's very cool. So much more that we could talk about. But this has been a lot of fun for me. And really feel honored to be able to sit down and talk to you, especially after listening to your music. I mean, I listen to it a lot when I'm walking the dog. You're on my playlists.
Thank you.
So this has really been an honor. I've tried not to be too much like a fan during
Well,
the.
this has been a treat for me too, because I haven't had too many interviews that I actually discuss the story behind the song. And I speak on a lot of other topics and a lot on media coaching and being comfortable in the camera and just the music itself. But to share that kind of backstory and kind of dive in deeper was really special because it reminds me too the journey and what it took, and that it was a team and it was a village of people and relationships, that this song is a blessing. All 5 songs were a blessing giving to me. I'm just the face. I'm just the product face. It was a whole team behind it.
That's so cool. So Amy, how can they find you? How can they, reach out to you? Obviously the music's on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, all that sort of stuff.
All
But if they want to
platforms.
dig deeper with Amy Scruggs, how do they find you?
AmyScruggs.com will take you straight to AmyScruggsMedia.com. It all links, and then there's AmyScruggsMusic.com. But just put in Amy Scruggs, you're going to find me, and it's going to take you to both sites. Thankfully, there's really nobody else out there with my name, so I am not hard to find. And reach out to me on social media. Just put in Amy Scruggs. You can't miss me.
Yeah. And again, just to reiterate, because I know we talked so much about music, but just give a plug for yourself and some of the other hats you wear as far as the coaching and the media personality and that sort of stuff, just so my listeners understand that you're much more than just the music, although that is a big part of who you are.
I think I have 10 arms behind the scenes here. I do work with professionals of all industries on being comfortable on camera. So presenting themselves for their own marketing videos. Maybe they're getting ready to start doing a lot of podcasting, crafting their message, their interview skills, helping them be comfortable with their video products, and even workshops on just leveling up in virtual meetings and not missing opportunities. So it's really fun to do a lot of communications and media coaching for professionals of all industries, including the music industry. I work with some other artists that are trying to do the same thing I'm doing while I'm doing it. And we're coaching and working on their skills on the business end of all of that. And it really is a treat. So I am available for coaching, for group or individual coaching, as well as I produce podcasts and shows for other platforms behind the scenes.
Very cool. So that brings us to our final question. And the subtitle of the podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places, which comes from the opening lyrics of a Michael Franti song, which go, when many little people in many little places do many little things, then the whole world changes. So what's one of the little things that Amy does to make the world a little bit better place?
I genuinely care about people and their success. As much as it is all the Amy show here, and it is my face on everything behind the scenes, the work I do behind the scenes to help lift others up, to help encourage them and give them tools is what you don't see and what I'm the most proud of. The work you don't see is what I'm most proud of. And it's really believing and genuinely caring about individuals right where they're at and helping them find their next best level.
I love that. I love that. Amy, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I wish you the best of luck. I hope maybe, the golden retriever is wanting to get in on the conversation here. I hope that, maybe once the song hits #1, we can do another podcast and talk about that. Let's make that a goal.
I would love it.
And
I'll come back here anytime you want. You know how to reach me directly.
Absolutely. And for folks out there listening, be sure to check out my other podcasts and blogs at journeymymotherson.com or danclouser.com, and hop on over to Amazon, pick up a copy of my most recent book, The Journey of My Mother's Son, Volume 1. Amy, thank you again so much for having the conversation. I really enjoyed it.